I'm gonna read all of them, all 11.
Okay.
Enjoy your stay. The game is on. Welcome to Silent Hill. The silence will be broken. Not so silent anymore. Once
Oh.
you enter Silent Hill, there's no turning back. Welcome to hell.
Oh.
Some towns should never be entered. Welcome to paradise. We've been expecting you. Population 0. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
Those last
Why?
two
I didn't
did
need
not
so
make
many.
any sense.
Population 0 rules. I'm gonna start a Silent Hill themed grindcore band and call it Population 0.
I
Population
love it.
Dave.
Population Rose, or Population the lady from
Dave.
The Walking Dead.
Population Dead Cop.
This is episode 202.
Oh, I was a little off.
This is episode Population 0 of I Hope You Suffer.
Ooh.
My name is Lady that gets her skin ripped off.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
Pyramid Head, but his balls are the pyramids.
Pyramid
Uh,
heads.
Pyramid
I just-
Zack.
Phone. Wow. I.
Katie,
Wrong
Okay.
start.
Katie is Sean Bean.
Sure. I.
Katie is the most
I'm-
boring character in this movie.
Yeah, honestly.
So this week we are talking about 2006's Silent Hill. Unfortunately, not the game. A game I've actually played once.
I've never played it. I have
Actually,
no idea how this movie compares to the game.
I've played the second game. I've never played the first one. Like back when you could go and like rent video games from places. I think it is.
Mhm.
Katie, have you played a bunch of these games?
I've played 4 of them.
Is the second one, do you know, is it the one that starts where you're in like an amusement park or some shit?
That's the third one.
I don't know. Whatever one that is, that's the one I played, and I remember renting it and being terrible at it and just being like, I don't need to play these games anymore.
Yeah, so I have played the first 4. I kind of feel like after that they sort of got
Repetitive.
oh shit. So I'm getting a spam call from Louisville, Kentucky.
Probably Mitch McConnell.
No thank you. No thank you, turtle face. Yeah, so I played the first 4. I was like really into them. I know I feel like there's kind of like a rift between people who are either like really into Silent Hill or from this era, really into Silent Hill or like really into Resident Evil. And I'm just like not good at Resident Evil. I've talked about this before. I'm like not good at shooting. And there's a lot of you have to do a lot of shooting in Resident Evil.
You could stab. You do a lot of stabbing instead.
You could
Well,
point flashlights
I'm
at people.
scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared for them to get too close to me to stab them. You know what I mean?
That's no
Like
way to live.
Nurses
That's
aren't.
no way to
Yeah.
live, Katie.
Nurses are supposed to be good and nice to you, so you should let them get
Yeah.
close to you.
they are good and nice to you. The very first Silent Hill game came out in like 1999, and I want to say that it was probably the first it might be the first like horror game I ever played. So I have like really vivid memories of like playing this game and just having the shit like scared out of me. It was really scary at the time, and it was like one of the first like I feel like survival horror games. And so I played the first four. This first movie is kind of like so there's two Silent Hill movies that I know of, and they're both kind of just kind of like a miss not mismatch, but like just kind of like different pieces of different games kind of like put together. So like most of the stuff that happens in this movie does not happen in the actual game. But the reason that I like it is because the director actually like really, really wanted the rights to the Silent Hill movie, and he tried for like 5 years to get the rights to it. And he like would write all these letters to people for like the copyrights and everything, and they were just like, no, no, thank you, or like they didn't respond or whatever. And so finally, he just like made this like 40-minute presentation about like how much Silent Hill means to him as a game and like how scared he was of it and blah blah blah, like all this stuff. And they like presented it to like the board of presidents for Konami. Obviously, Konami's the one who has like published the game. And they watched his presentation and was like, you know what? I think this guy gets it. And so they were just like, okay, yeah, here you go. You can have the rights to it. So they started writing this movie in 2005. And then the only thing I guess first of all, we didn't say anything about if we liked the movie. Obviously, I picked this movie and I love it. I think obviously it's not perfect. I think it's a little long, and I think the dialogue's not great. But the reason that I say the dialogue's not great is because the person who wrote the script, like literally wrote the script to the movie, like as he was playing through the game. And so like, it's been a long time since I played the first one, but I don't know. Maybe the dialogue wasn't super great.
Well,
like,
I read something that like the director and the writer talked about where they just wanted the dialogue, especially like everything up until kind of like the finale, when you get all like the exposition dump kind of shit at the end. Wanted it to be just very much like the video game where there's just not it's very like stilted, like whatever dialogue that's just kind of just enough to like push the plot forward, but it wanted it to be very reliant on like atmosphere and shit.
I think to me, they did that to an extent. I think part of the problem comes from the thing that you complained about on the internet, which is that the acting's not very good. To me, most of the acting does not bother me. I actually do not care for Sean Bean. And I think this was kind of a weird cast for him. I don't mind Rose. I think the little girl is not great, but again, she's a little girl, so who cares? But the thing that I like about this movie is that even though they kind of like made up the plot and the plot's like kind of weird or whatever, I think that they did a really, really good job cinematically, like mimicking actually playing a game. Like the sets that they created are amazing. They like literally feel like you're in the game, and there's a lot of time where Rose is literally just running around. It's like half of the movie, right? Her running around screaming Sharon. But the sets
like
were so
Ozzy.
good. Yes, literally.
Oh my god, someone please edit like this movie, but just every time she does that, it's just Ozzy.
Oh, Ozzy.
That would be really funny. So I think that they did a lot of like really good things in this movie to make it feel like the game to me, and I really like the soundtrack also. So like overall, as far as like movie adaptations of like a game or something, I really like this one.
It's definitely one of probably the better game adaptations I've seen. Although, like, at the same point, like, all the stuff, like, I definitely, like, enjoy Super Mario Brothers and stuff like that more. But, like,
right, I mean,
as far as, like, an actual, like, game to movie adaptation goes, I feel like, at least from what I've seen, this is one of the better ones. Because, like, like I was texted Katie, I think, or maybe the group chat after I watched it, where I was just like the acting is pretty bad in this, but like they do a really good job of like the set design and the sound design in this movie are pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
And like you could tell they spent a shitload of money building a fucking all of these sets for this, for like anytime it's like the fucking darkness or whatever in the game. And but like the thing that I read that was interesting, which makes sense as to why the sound design is so good, is that all of the sound and like score was taken straight from the games. I think the first two games were out at this point, something like that. And that, like they used like the score and like sounds straight from the game, which makes sense and is why it actually sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll get to it when we get to the end. The end, I think so like the director wanted the end that like when I can't think of what the girl in the bed's name is. Is it Allison?
Alyssa.
Alyssa, like rises
Alyssa.
up in the church or whatever. Like in his original script, 6 pyramid heads were gonna pop out, and it was gonna be like a Dante's Inferno fucking like a nod to Dante's Inferno with these 6 pyramid heads just like wrecking everybody. And I think, despite the CGI not being great, I like the idea that happens in the end in the movie better than the idea of like 6 pyramid heads just popping out.
I do too, and I'm not even gonna go into like why I think that would have been a really bad idea, because nobody wants to hear about it.
Unless they were 6 pyramid heads with pyramids for balls, then I'm in.
That's so many
No.
like 12 whole pyramids. I guess 18 if they have them on their head too.
Oh, they have them on both.
Yeah.
It's just their whole body's just made of pyramids.
Yeah. They're pyramided
out. Yeah, so what do you think, Kit?
About pyramid balls? Uncomfortable.
No. I think I know your feelings on pyramid balls.
I've suffered that affliction, and it is not good.
On the movie in general, just I don't know. It's fine.
That's what I think. I gave it a 2.5 stars.
The first hour, I mostly enjoy. Like, it's not amazing, but it's heavy atmosphere and just her kind of wandering through this town. Like, what the fuck is all of this weird shit? What is happening? And you don't really have an explanation, and it's just heavy atmosphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she discovers all of these other people in the town, and it just drags the movie down, and everything gets so slow and stupid, and there's 40 minutes of the child giving a voiceover narration of her entire life.
That part is so
like,
weird.
Oh my god. Just it picks back up when it gets to
the
church insanely sick barbed wire massacre. Super dope.
The Sean Bean stuff is what like drags it down for me.
Oh, he's a complete nothing of a character who just doesn't do anything.
I guess
like he runs in a circle and is like, all right, well, I quit, I guess.
I read that the studio was just like, we can't have this movie of just women running around. We need a man in here. And like the director just like begrudgingly added like this Sean Bean character.
It literally his only purpose is for that punchline of an end, you know, where it's like he opens the door and it's just like him by himself, you know, to show that they're still in Silent Hill or trapped wherever, right? It's like that the only purpose that 30 minutes of Sean Bean scenes.
I went and saw this in a theater when it came out, which I'm not really sure why, because I don't think I had played any of the games yet.
Also same.
It was just one of those things where I think I was like off work or something. I was just like, I don't know, I'll go see this. And like, I remember the end when they get out of Silent Hill and like they're driving home, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously I know the ending because it's still foggy as fuck at their house, like,
yeah, right.
And it's so dumb.
I think there's a good movie in here. It just, some of it needs to be reworked or reshuffled or something, you know? Because like the groundwork is there. It's good atmosphere. The acting is fine. Like, it's passable for most movies, I'd say, but especially like a video game adaptation, like it's pretty good.
Well, it feels like it's a very much a product of its time.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is the CG is all extremely 2006,
yeah,
right? And some of it holds up better than others. Like, a lot of the CG'd scenery looks pretty bad. The freaky little cockroach with the human face, pretty terrifying. To be honest, that still weirded me out. But yeah, it's a very like Hot Topic aesthetic. Like, I lump it in there, you know, where it's like edgy grime.
I saw somebody's review on Letterboxd that was basically like, if black metal ever became massively popular, this is what their videos would look like. Yeah, it's just like I said, like I really enjoy like the sets in this movie. Like, they did an incredible job like building this like fucked up town, and like I think everything that like when it's dark, the CGI is pretty okay. But like the scene where the fucking weird armless thing is like spitting acid at them and shit, where it's just like the bright fog looks fucking terrible.
From behind, it looked pretty good, and then it shows the front of the thing, and it's like, okay, well, now it looks really bad. Like,
I'm sure.
I think less is more would have helped some here too.
I'm sure in 2006 in the theater, I was like, holy shit, the future is now. This looks incredible. All right, Katie, let's go.
Take us away to Silent Hill.
Yeah, please. You don't have to work in Silent Hill, so.
What I was trying to say earlier is, like, I think that the addition of Sean Bean, I think it's really stupid to be like, well, we don't want a movie that's just women, obviously. I think the only reason they added him, though, is because, like, originally in the game, you're playing not as whoever they made up their names where they were different characters, but you're essentially Sean Bean's character and Sharon. Their names are Harry and Cheryl. And so it's like him in the game and not his wife. And so like the thing that like I appreciate about some of the stuff that seems kind of disjointed is like, do I think they could have left him completely out and still had the ending be fine? Absolutely. Because like you said, when she gets home and it's just like foggy and she can't find him, like obviously, right? But there's some things that they added that are literally just kind of like nods to the game. And I think his character, honestly, was just put in it other than that to like give people that aspect of it, I guess. Because like all of the stuff that he does doesn't advance the story at all, because then the little demon thing that looks like a little girl literally tells us the whole plot, as this like man is running around the whole movie trying to uncover it, and he like doesn't actually uncover anything. So like I think they could have just left him out. I understand why he's in there or whatever, but like whatever.
Yeah, it's just like you could, if you would have cut out all of the shit with him and this fucking police detective or whatever, this movie
oh my god
could have been a pretty solid like hour 40 or whatever, instead of over 2 hours, where And like,
Yeah.
it would have probably worked better.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen this. I watched this movie a few times. I saw it in the theater also, but only because it came out on April 21st, and that was the week of my birthday. So I made two of my friends who do not like scary things go to see it with me. And I remember, I mean, like it was 2006, right? And I remember thinking that it literally looked like the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, this doesn't really hold up now, of course, like obviously, but some of the scenes do because they used like real people. You know, the scenes where they used like actual people and not just CG, I think still look really good. But yeah, I honestly can't even fathom that it was so long ago that this came out. But
yeah,
anyways.
I would be interested to see what like an adaptation of like this game would be like now. Like if you just got like a actual kind of like real like Guillermo del Toro do Silent Hill.
Yeah, because I think there is a second one that came out. Shit, I don't remember what year it came out.
I tried to watch it, and it was it came out 2012 or something. It was like so many years later, and like I wasn't going to pay for it, and the only one on YouTube was in like Turkish or something, and I was like, I don't know if I want to sit and just not know what's going on. And longest, but
I don't think it would have changed anything, to be honest.
I did. I mean, I noticed that like it at least starts in an amusement park because I watched a solid 8 minutes before dialogue happened, and I realized it wasn't in English, and it looks so much shittier, at least in the beginning, than this movie does. Like you could tell they were just like, I don't know, the other movie made a bunch of money. Why don't we just give them less to do this sequel?
Yeah, it's like really weird because the second movie is like kind of a rewrites the story of the first movie, but also is sort of Silent Hill 3. It's like really freaking weird. It doesn't really make any sense. And honestly, it's not really even worth watching because it's not the same director or the writer or anything. So it's like, don't bother.
I just like, I think this movie has the same feeling to me as like watching the first X-Men movie, where I'm like, I like this, but it like you can tell this was, what time period this was made because it's just so dated at this point.
Yeah, especially the little crispy demon baby things. Those were like probably the worst looking things. Okay. So this movie starts with Rose and Christopher, and they're looking for Sharon. They're running around yelling, Sharon, Sharon. That's probably like the thing. So Sharon.
I'm gonna cut out every time you say Sharon and just put an Aussie screaming Sharon.
What a weird, like, this little girl is like 8 years old. Sharon, her name in the game is Cheryl, which is like not much different. And like, I get the game came out in 1999, so Cheryl was probably normal to name a child, but Sharon, I don't know.
Sheryl Crow.
Well, Sheryl Crow, I think, is a little bit older than this child. Sharon Crow.
She was born that way.
So,
like years old.
Some of us are. It just happens. Rose is running around through the woods and through a tunnel and by a waterfall. Beautiful landscaping here by their house. By their house in Ohio.
Yeah, there's waterfalls in Ohio.
I was saying, Nathan, did you live by a waterfall?
I did actually. There was a. I mean, it wasn't like a huge one, but there was I can't think of what the place was called now. It was something Falls, and they would do like this big like Christmas light show that you could go walk through, like like trails into like the waterfall and stuff every year. I can't remember what it was called though, because I hadn't been there since I was a kid. Because that's fuck Christmas lights.
It was like a national park though.
No, it was
situation.
No, it was just like a general, like just state park. It wasn't like a national park. It was just like a you know, a park.
International park.
It was just some land somebody took care of.
It was some land. She sees Sharon standing, swooning up on a ledge, saying home. There's a vision of like an industrial basement and like a freaky little girl. And then Rose tackles Sharon. Sharon is yelling, home, Silent Hill. Whoa. And they're like, it's okay, don't worry about it. And there's a light up cross in the back. So you can really tell that this is going to be a biblical film. The next day, Sharon is drawing a picture, and Rose and Sharon meow like cats for some reason. And Rose is like, we're on a trip. It's special. Like, do you know where we're going? And Sharon's like, no. And she's like, well, we're going to Silent Hill. And Sharon's just like, okay, cool. I don't know what that is. Like, Dad's not coming or whatever. And they fall asleep under a tree randomly. And then they wake up. They were just stopping to take a break because they're on the car ride now. They get back in the car, and Christopher is trying to call Rose, and he's mad because she won't answer. But then she forgot to delete her Goog search because he just pulls it right up and sees that she was researching Silent Hill, and he knows that's where she's going. Rose stops to get gas at a gas station that has a tattoo sign in the window. So, one in West Virginia, I guess, because Silent Hill is in West Virginia. Rose looks at Sharon's art.
In the game, is like the coal fire or whatever part of the game?
No, the coal fire was fake.
It was
like a lie.
I felt like it was something that like was made up to make it more like real worldy, but I wasn't sure if it was actually part of the game or not, because I think I made it like, I don't know, maybe like 2 hours into the second game when I played it, and I was like, I'm bad at this. I don't want to play this anymore.
So, like I said, it's been a really long time since I played it, but I feel like in the game it was supposed to just be unseasonal snow. And they like literally used the like fog and shit to kind of like mask the fact that the graphics weren't good. And then the coal fire was just like a lie that they made up as to what happened to the town, like to people who live around them. So like the coal fire is not real anyway, but I don't think that was a part of like the original lore. Rose looks at Sharon's drawing, which before was like sunflowers or some shit, and it's all like weird now. And she's like, why did you change these drawings? And Sharon is upset because she doesn't remember doing it, and she's like starting to scream, and she's like, who did it? And a cop sees that Sharon is upset. I did not write. I think it's Bennett is her name, but I just called her Cop the whole time.
She doesn't deserve a name.
Yeah, Cop sees that Sharon's upset and goes over to talk to her.
Terrible in this.
Insufferable, like, honestly.
Like, I've seen her in a bunch, because she's in like, I think almost all the stuff that man, I'm blanking on his name now. I think he directed Shawshank Redemption, and like he did The Walking Dead and shit. And The Majestic. I'll have to look it up. I can't think of what his name is offhand, but he's like, she's in like all of his stuff, and she's usually like pretty fine, and she's real bad in this.
Yeah, she's not the worst, but she's pretty close.
I mean, they don't give her much to do, but like, yeah.
She's just copping around, Yeah, so she goes to like talk to make sure Sharon's okay while Rose goes inside to pay for the gas and get directions. But Sharon tells the cops that she doesn't talk to strangers. Rose's card is declined because Christopher has cut them off, which seems dangerous.
Why would you,
sir?
Like, hey, your wife's like however far away, you should probably just
Yeah, cut off her fucking credit cards. And so she calls and is like, what the fuck? Why did you cut off the credit card?
Real quick, Frank Darabont. is his name.
Oh, yeah.
I guess like the guy who directed Silent Hill saw her in The Majestic with Jim Carrey, and was like, "Oh, I gotta like put her in this movie," and gave her the worst role, and was like, "Hey, can you be bad in this?"
She's like, "Yes, I can."
Yeah, he directed Shawshank
Absolutely.
Redemption, The Green Mile, The Mist, which
I like The Mist.
The Mist has the bleakest ending.
It's so great.
But he's the one that brought like The Walking Dead to TV and directed I think directed maybe the whole first season, something like that, and then like they fired him and he sued the shit out of AMC for a bunch of stuff.
Well, they probably deserved it, I guess. I don't know. Oh, Christopher is like, you need to come back because we need to take Sharon to a hospital. She's sick. And this is where we find out that Sharon is adopted. But Rose just hangs up on him for being a stupid man. And I agree. Rose tells the cop that they're fine. And she's like, the cop is kind of sus about it, lets them drive away, but then immediately pulls them over, like up the road. And I was like, what the fuck was even the point of that? So Rose pulls over and like, oh, she's also a motorcycle cop. So she gets off her bike and is like walking up to the car, but Rose sees that they're right in front of the exit for Silent Hill and is like, buckle your seatbelt, and like fucking floors it and goes up the road or whatever. The bridge is gated, but she just like rams through it and she's like speeding up the mountain. And this is like one of the things that I loved that they did in the movie, because this is like a major feature of the game where you have like some kind of device, usually a radio, because it was, 1999, that makes like static or like feedback sounds whenever you like walk close to like a demon creature or whatever, which at the time was like the fucking scariest thing ever, because you're just like running up the street and it's just like foggy everywhere, and then all of a sudden your radio just starts going like and you're like walking by a car, and then it was really scary. And so they do it a few times like in the movie, which I really liked that they did. But so Sharon's like screaming and shit, of course. It's like all chaos. Rose is like, calm down, it's okay, it's just the radio. She's like trying to turn the radio off. She's trying to turn it off.
Yeah, crank that shit
Rose...
up.
Right.
Lights
the Beastie
out.
Boys are on. No! She sees a little girl in the road up ahead, and she swerves to avoid her, and she ends up crashing and hitting her head on the steering wheel. R.I.P. Rose. She wakes up the next morning. Sharon is gone. Everything is like white and foggy, and it looks like snow. But as we know in this movie, it's actually ash, which is really gross. But again, the set and like the ambiance of these entire like opening shots are just like amazing still. Rose sees the Silent Hill sign, of course. She runs up the road into the town. She's like looking around. She sees the girl and chases her, thinking that it's Sharon, even though they're wearing different clothes, but that's fine. She follows her down.
Real quick.
I mean, I guess she could have. She follows her down some like stairs, sort of, and this is when the thing that I hate happens. The sirens go off.
Oh, it's so good though.
It fills me with such dread.
Yeah,
I hate it so much.
It's such a like perfect sound, and I'm assuming that's probably taken straight from the game.
I think so. I don't remember
specifically,
honestly, but probably.
It's such a like it's like I don't know, like the perfect fucking like loud like sound for this town turning into hell.
Yeah, it's like already such an off-putting sound, because like no matter what the setting, it's not good. It's not like the parade's about to start, you know what I mean? It's like something bad's happening, and it's like so eerie, and I hate it. Anyways, the siren goes off, and she's like, what's happening? And then it just like gets dark.
Just as well.
What?
If they started playing Sandstorm.
Ozzy yelling Sharon.
Oh God, it's happening.
That would have been. That would be equally as alarming, I think.
I'd get the fuck out of that town immediately.
I would too. I
they
mean,
like
is
to
there
party,
a rave that's about to start?
No part.
What if? Hear me out.
The pacifiers are coming out.
The light, it starts getting dark, and you just hear Big E doing the intro to the New Day. Oh, Silent Hill!
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, no. Big E's Pyramid Head.
I was trying to just
That'd
think of
be sick.
the most absurd fucking wrestling intro that would work with this.
I'd love to see them running down the streets playing the fucking trombone and throwing pancakes at the hideous nurse ladies.
Rose is just like, what the fuck?
What is happening?
Pancake just slapping Pyramid Head in the face.
The only way Silent Hill could be more confusing of a place.
Honestly. Okay, so the sirens go off and it gets dark abruptly. Pitch black. Not like it's dark in the moon. It's you can't see it all. She's got a lighter on her and she's walking around this sewer basement situation. Anytime it's nighttime, we don't see this immediately, which I kind of appreciate that they didn't reveal what's happening right away. But it's it all looks like a weird kind of Animal Pound, where there's just gates everywhere, but they're old and rusty. And so I don't know where she is, but it's wet and it's gross. She finds a gurney that just has a bloody wet blanket on it, which disgusting. And she sees what she thinks is Sharon again, and she chases her around till she runs into someone who's just I don't know, crucified up on a gate, but they're still alive. And she's like, oh my God, that's not good. And this is when we see a bunch of little weird crispy baby things that chase her. They don't look great at all, but they're, it is what it is. And they're chasing her around, and they're trying to grab her and shit, and she kind of falls on the ground and passes out as they just dissolve. And then she wakes up abruptly to a jukebox playing. It's daytime again.
Yeah, what was the jukebox playing? Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash.
Yes.
Because of course it was.
I was thinking some kind of hell song.
I just I wish movies would just realize there's other songs that probably have the word fire in it you could play.
I don't. I only want Ring of Fire. Use all of the covers of it, whatever. Only Ring of Fire.
That's what I mean. Play
the only needle drop.
I mean, I guess it makes sense for this, small West Virginia town, but I don't know.
They should have used it as the needle drop as soon as the credits hit. Sean Bean opens his door and there's just no one there, and then it's
that's what should start playing when the town starts going dark.
Yeah. They should be playing Shania Twain, if you ask me, but it's fine.
I bet I'll take it.
Let's go, girl. Yeah. So she wakes up and is just what in the fuck? And she's walking around. She's walking around the town, and she heads to the edge of town. But instead of being a road, I guess it's just a cliff, and there's no road there. She's well, that's weird. Hello? No, I'm not. No, they're out at the moment.
Do you like Silent Hill?
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What happened?
Katie, you didn't ask if they like Silent Hill.
Okay. I can't imagine what they heard me saying that they decided to talk to me. But this would have been a really good time for us to be covering like Death Drop Gorgeous or something. I don't think they would have talked to me.
And then they cut the dick with them, or eat the dick with a meat grinder.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so she's looking over the cliff. Someone comes up behind her and is like, "The dark ones open and close the door to Silent Hill." She doesn't talk like that, but and so this is when we meet Dahlia. She is not looking her best. She just looks like a street, like a kind of like a street witch. She's got like this huge cloak. Her hair is all wild and stuff. Her face is kind of crispy looking though. And Rose is just like, what's going on here? Like, I'm trying to find my daughter. Can you help me? And she's just like, we all lost our children. The evil people tricked me. And Rose does not give a shit about her situation at all. And she's just like, I need help finding my daughter. And she shows her a picture of Sharon, and Dahlia freaks out and like tries to take it, and she's like, it's mine. And Rose is like, no, and like jukes her and runs away. Meanwhile, worthless husband Christopher shows up at the gas station and is like asking a mechanic about Rose, and the guy is just like, Silent Hill is closed because of a coal fire. That's, the lie they tell. And it's still burning, so the road's closed. You can't go up there. And instead of just like driving up the road and finding the cutoff or the exit himself, Christopher like bribes him. And I was like, bro, that's so unnecessary. Just drive your car straight. It's right there. Anyway, Rose makes it back to her car and finds one of Sharon's drawings. She tries to call Christopher on her cell phone, but she can't get through. And then the cop comes up and Rose asks for help finding Sharon, but the cop is like really mad at her and like handcuffs her, and she's just like, we're gonna go back to town. I'm gonna walk you back to town, and then we're gonna find your daughter or whatever. Weird. Christopher finds the bridge in real life, but there's a detective there that has blocked the road. They let him through because they have found Rose's Jeep abandoned, and Christopher kind of like tells the detective what happened. Then we switch back to Rose, and the cop tells Rose that she's mad at her because this one time a dude abducted a child and brought him up to Silent Hill and dropped him into a mine shaft. And so
that's so fucking weird.
The cop is like immediately mad because she assumes that Rose is like abusing Sharon, which is like very strange.
Are you the mine shafter?
They just do so much work to like justify that this cop is like the best person in the world, and I'm just not here for it. Like, who cares? Anyway, so she's like telling her this as they're like walking down the road to like, to town, but they come to where the road just disappears. And again, it's just a cliff. And Rose is like, do you see what I mean? Like, stuff is weird here. And the cop is just like, no, this seems normal. And then she says, fuck you, you stupid cop.
Rose said A-cab.
Rocks.
She did in 2006. She said it.
Ahead of the curve.
So then she was. They see someone in the distance, and the cop is like, "Hey, come on out! I'm a cop." And I was like, "I don't think that's gonna help."
Not coming out.
This is when they're like walking closer, and this is like another instance where Rose's cell phone and the cop's radio are like giving feedback and like staticky and stuff as the figure is walking closer to them. And turns out it is a armless, faceless, acid spitting guy who's doing that stuff that I said.
It's like the cool dinosaur from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, like literally, except it's gray.
Less
instead
cool.
of being cool colors. Yeah.
Also, Newman wasn't there, which is sad.
Yeah, that's true. That is what this movie's missing. If Newman had been like Christopher, I would have been here for him.
No, Newman is Pyramid Head.
But they just put in like dialogue from the Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's just him singing in the fucking mail truck before it catches on fire when he runs over the sewing machine.
Wow. Many
what
misses.
a great film we've made.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so the guy is coming at him and the cop is like, what the fuck? And like starts shooting at him and he's like spitting acid at him. Rose runs immediately and the cop sees a bunch of like the guys in the distance and is like, well, not great. They also have her throw her helmet off and like reveal her face as if we're supposed to be like stunned by her or something. And I was just like, I don't know, she's a cop. What do you want? Rose runs for a while and finds the school. She saw a drawing that Sharon did, and it had school on it. So she's like, obviously, I must go to the school. So she goes to the school. It's looking real crusty. It's an abandoned school, and she's looking around. She's like hearing whispering. Doesn't really seem that concerned by the whispering, honestly. Meanwhile, Christopher and the detective drive through town, like drive through Silent Hill, and call for Rose. And the detective is just like, yeah, you see that barber shop? That was my dad's. He's dead now. There was a fire. That's pretty much all you need to know about that.
Matt Damon. Matt Damon's in this film now.
Rose hears a noise and someone tells her to run. So she does. There's, some people scatting about. She runs to like another part of the school where she sees a desk that has the word witch written on it. And so she opens the desk and sees that there's some homework inside that has the name Alessa on it. And she has
Witch homework. Homework for
witch
witches.
homework, yeah. And she has a flashback of like kids chanting, burn the witch, as they do. I was like, what does that say? Rose sees the little girl again and chases her into a bathroom where she hears crying. And she starts opening the stalls one by one to see, if she can find the little crying girl. Which again is kind of a slow scene, but I really love because like if you're playing a video game and you go into the bathroom, literally what you do is like kick in the doors. Like everybody does it, right? So they do like a slow shot of that until she finds like a burnt guy wrapped up in barbed wire and like bent backwards in the toilet.
Seems not great, but also this guy deserved it, so.
Yeah, we see a flash of like a patch that says Colin or something. And then there's writing on the wall that says, dare you, double dare you. Because we see that there's something in his mouth that is really fucking disgusting. So she's got to like reach through the barbed wire and take something out of his mouth. Then she's like going to leave the bathroom, but when she opens the door, she sees like the group of people and they're wearing like rubber suits and like gas masks and shit, so we don't really know like what's going on with that yet. And so she like slams the door and they're trying to like break the door down, but they have a bird in a cage and the bird starts chirping and they're like, oh shit, and they run away because the siren goes off again and it gets super dark. And this is the first time we see like the Silent Hill like daytime getting dark. But it's like the paint's all like rusting off the walls and shit. And like the CG held up kind of whatever. But I remember the first time I saw that in the theater thinking it was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. It was like crazy because she's like turning around with the flashlight and just like showing how like fucking gross this bathroom's getting. And
I think it kind of holds up. It's not like
it wasn't terrible, but like, speaking of, I really feel like you said Del Toro, I feel like would do a really cool job with like the colors and shit of Silent Hill. I think it would be so cool.
Have Ron Perlman play Rose.
I love it. Yes. I want him to play Sharon, honestly, but if we need Rose, that's fine.
No, you got to get like, I don't know any kid actors at this point, but
I don't either.
You get the little girl from Psycho Goreman to play Rose. I think it's like the last kid actor I could think of.
To play Sharon?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I like it.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes.
He looks youthful. He looks youthful.
He looks youthful. So then she's kind of like, what's happening? Because the last time that this happened, that the transition happened, she was like knocked out, right? So this is the first time she's seeing it, and she's like, well, that's weird. Then barbed wire guy comes flopping out of the bathroom, like looking at her and shit, and he is really fucking gross. He's like, blah, blah, flopping around because he's tied backwards. And so she's scared, and she runs away and like runs around. There's all kinds of gross stuff happening. The other thing that I liked about this first half of the movie is that they do a really good job emulating what happens in the game, where you'll just be walking around for like minutes without anything happening, and then suddenly there's like, I don't know, a guy's head in a TV or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like you stumble upon just like fucking weird stuff happening, and you're like, oh, like, okay. Like, a guy gets eaten by a bunch of bugs in a hallway. I don't know. There's just like all kinds of stuff happening, and she's like, like screaming and running around.
Yeah, that's just
honestly.
Well,
you ever been to New York?
True. I have, actually.
See it every time I go.
Yeah. Just walk by some dude getting eaten by bugs.
Sometimes you're the bugs.
Yeah, there's just like swarms of bugs. And then she sees the girl again, and she chases her. She finds a drawing, but she like falls or something. I don't know. And then here he comes, Big Daddy Pyramid Head. Amazing.
The CGI on him looks pretty fine. It like held up.
Yeah, I wish
that was a practical head.
Yeah, that was actually a real guy.
They built a pyramid on his head.
I love it. I definitely, so like, Pyramid Head was not in the first Silent Hill game, but I'm really glad that they included him, because I feel like at this point he and the nurses have become kind of like the iconic like symbols for the franchise. So I'm really glad that they added him, and I think that they did a really cool job with like, I wish he would have been in it more, honestly, but they did a good job with like the reveal of him, where it's kind of just like her standing there, and then you hear the noise, because you could always hear the noise in the game, and it was like terrifying, because you're like, what the fuck's happening? Because he's like carrying that huge ass like knife thing. I don't know what it is. It's not really, it's like a big cleaver type thing, and he's just like dragging it on the ground. Huh?
The gun. The cleaver shaped gun.
Well, but then I thought it was, so it's like he comes out kind of like of the corner behind her, but I feel like the bug CG did not hold up very well.
Nah, that was
because they're all just like swarming around him. Anyways, she's like,
all real life bugs look like they're CG. So
I would say, if you see
it held up to me,
a swarm of bugs like that, as opposed to just like a bug, probably.
I would throw up and probably pass out. I don't. There's. That's it for me.
I am on the
game over
opposite spectrum with like Pyramid Head, where I think they used him just enough in this, because I feel like if they would have used him more, it would have just been like too much. It would have just made him like the main antagonist for some reason, where I think adding in like the nurses and the fucking weird armless, like just more different fucked up creatures than just Pyramid Head. And like, he shows up the one time, tries to stab everybody, and then he just shows up and rips someone's skin off. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Pretty
so she sees him, and she's just like, I'm kind of turned on, but I'm also really scared, so I'm just gonna run. So she does.
Saw those
and now
pyramid balls.
Well, you know, what can I say? Cannot deny the charms of it. And so now it cuts between like Christopher and the detective like walking around town, and Rose like running for her life, and they're kind of like in the same area at this point. And Christopher's like, I could smell her perfume. She was here. And the detective, yeah, like what? And the detective is just like, you're stupid. Let's get out of here. So there's the swarm of bugs, and they're like coming for Rose, and she's just kind of like has a moment where she just breaks down, and she's like, I can't fucking do this anymore. There's like weird shit everywhere. I don't know what's happening, and she's just like laying on the ground, kind of like crying. And then the cop grabs her and like pulls her into this room that they like barricade themselves in, and the cop uncuffs her, and it's just like
her.
the cop uncuffs her.
She just kills herself.
Kind of.
Like, nope, no more cop for you.
She is like, and she's just like, well, this is my last clip. Yikes. And so they're like standing there kind of like, you know, barricaded in, and they're like, there's no way we can get out of here. And then they hear like the grinding noise, and suddenly a huge knife like stabs through the door, and they're like, oh no. And they're like dodging it. And then it's Pyramid Head, of course. And he's like punching through the hole, and there's like bugs going everywhere. And he's like reaching in there to try and like get them, and trying to like pull the pipe out of the handle that they like shoved in there to barricade themselves. The cop is like shooting at him and shit. And then the bugs just start dying, which like, great, the bugs aren't alive anymore, but they're just like piling up on the ground, and it also looks very disgusting. And then Pyramid Head leaves, and the skull goes back to like its normal level of grossness. And the cop is just like, so they like walk out, and the cop is like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what is going on? And Rose is just like, don't worry, everything's fine. This happens. So she pulled something out of the guy's mouth that has the name of a hotel on it. And so she's like, we need to go to this hotel and find my daughter, like, before this shit happens again. So now Christopher is being forced to leave Silent Hill, and because they're like, there's nothing you can do, like, we're looking for them, like, don't worry about it. And he calls, this is probably like the worst scene in the whole movie, because he calls to get the police records for Silent Hill, but they're sealed. And this conversation he has with this lady, he's just like, okay, you don't, fuck you, just listen to me. And I'm just like, bro, this is not it. It's so stupid.
This is one movie where Sean Bean definitely should have died.
Yeah.
Like, for a man famous for dying and everything, this is the one thing you don't kill him in. Come on.
I know. So Rose and the cop go to the hotel. They hear someone yelling, and this is where they find somebody named Anna, who I think is the worst person in this movie. And she's throwing rocks at Dahlia, the street witch. And Anna is just like, they're like, hey, stop. Like, what are you doing? Dahlia runs away. And Anna is just like, mother needs more food. She's talking about how...
I meant to look up who played her earlier. Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
For some reason, I thought it was Marilyn Ricecub, who is very funny, but it is not. It's somebody named Tanya Allen, who I have not heard of any of the rest of these movies.
Yeah. She's talking basically about how this lady named Christabella is taking care of them or whatever. She's basically saying a bunch of kind of like fake stuff, like we're wandering too far from the flock, and you know, stuff like that. There's a symbol on the ground, and she says that's a symbol of their faith. Rose takes a knife to, you know, protect herself, and the cop finds a drawing of Sharon's in a mail slot for hotel room number 111, and so they're gonna go to that hotel room. Meanwhile, Christopher breaks into the archives and finds Alessa's file where he sees a picture of her and she looks exactly like Sharon, and then he calls an orphanage. Again, fucking useless. Rose and the cop discover that there's no room 111. I'm sorry. Yeah, 111. And instead there is a portrait of a witch being burned, and Anna says, "The first burning," and tells them about how the founders of the town burned witches to stop the apocalypse from happening. Great. Rose is like, well, that's fucked up. And she cuts through the painting to find that there is a room behind it. They go in, and the room is connected to another building. Rose sees the little girl, of course, and, like, walks across a bunch of debris and scaffolding and shit to get to her.
Unsafe.
The little girl's, she almost dies. The little girl's crying again. Rose is just like, "Are you Alessa? Where's my daughter?" And then she's like, "Look at me, I'm burning." And then she catches on fire and disappears. The cop is like, "What the fuck are you doing over there?"
I got a new task for people listening to this, is to edit clips of this movie with Katie's dialogue and impersonations on it.
Listen, I'm really thinking about going into reading audiobooks because come on, like, be honest. I'm great at it.
Now listen here, mister.
Unless I had to read a spicy novel, and then I would be laughing the whole time. So, I don't know. Maybe that's not the best for me.
The newsy voice would play well with, like, 50 Shades of Grey. Come over here, let me get your butt plug.
Gross.
But it's all regular dialogue, and the only time you do the newsy voice is when you're talking, like, you're just, like, quoting somebody.
Yeah.
It's like, "I walked into the room and there it was. Let me get your butt plug." Yeah. I think I like this journey for me, honestly. So if anyone knows anybody, let me know.
Anybody could get Katie into the voiceover
of anything, honestly. I can do newsy. I can do mountain folk. I think that's about it, but there's a lot of range between those two, you know? I can do Matt Damon. Let me know.
You could do newsy and a terrible Boston accent.
Thank you.
Nailed it.
Okay. The cop is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And Rose is like, "I saw her. That little girl brought us here. She was the one that crashed my car. It was Alessa." And then Anna is like, "We don't say her name." And she starts freaking out, and they run to the church as the sirens start blaring again. And this is where we find out that the sirens are actually coming from the top of the church. Rose stops because she looks up and recognizes the church from some of Sharon's drawings. And this is when a bunch of people come running towards the church out of the fog. And Dahlia is there, and
instead.
I still need to watch the remake.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So
I haven't seen the remake.
The remake is not good, but it's definitely passable compared to most remakes.
Yeah, I'll have to see if that's on something. Dahlia is like, "Don't trust these people. They're actually fucking evil. So don't be going in that church." Rose is trying to talk to her, and she's like, "I saw Alessa. Like, why does she want me here? Like, what's happening? Like, what's going on?" But then the dark comes, and so Rose and the cop run up the stairs. Anna stays behind on the stairs because she's going to try and kill Dahlia, but then Big Daddy Pyramid Head appears behind her and grabs her and then rips her fucking skin off and throws it at the church.
Oh my god, for some reason I thought this happened, like, later in the movie. I forgot we still haven't gotten to fucking 38 minutes of exposition.
No. Literally, there was like 38 minutes of the movie left when that girl starts talking, and I was like, I don't remember this movie being this long.
When, like, you picked it, and I looked it up to see, like, what it was streaming on, and I saw that it was over 2 hours. I was like, Jesus Christ, why is this movie so long?
Why do I keep doing that? I literally don't remember it being this long. I wouldn't have. This is Godzilla 2000 all over again.
It's just, like, I can't fathom why a studio was like, yeah, Silent Hill movie needs to be over 2 hours.
I don't either, because we literally get like 3 different versions of like what happened to the town to like make it what it was. And I'm like, literally not necessary. You don't need also Sean Bean, world's worst husband, like doing research in the background when literally the only person that gets told what actually happened is Rose.
Yeah, you could have cut out all of his shit after she gets to Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Like, it could have just been like just her having the fight with her husband, like on the phone, and then she gets to Silent Hill, and then like, I guess do the shit like at the end where like with the door or whatever, and it could have been fine. You could have cut out like a solid 20 minutes from this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
But if we don't see a man on screen every 15 minutes, what are we going to do with ourselves?
No one would have gone to watch it.
Be so lost.
Apparently. The church people, Pyramid Head like throws Anna's skin at the door, and some of the blood like slops through
so fucking metal.
and gets Rose. Yeah, so and Rose is just like, oh my god. So the church people see that and start freaking out.
If somebody's full body of skin at me, I would probably kill myself.
Yeah, I'm killing myself on the spot. I'm slamming my head in that gigantic door. Fuck that.
Honestly, yeah. They see that she's covered in blood now. They start calling them witches and attacking them and shit. And the cop fires the gun. And then Christabella is like, "This is a place of worship." And she comes out, and this lady is like, look what they did to my Anna. They lured her out and tempted her, whatever. And Christabella is basically just like, no, Anna was stupid, and it wasn't their fault actually. Let's pray.
A dumb bitch. She deserved it.
Like, essentially. So they start praying and stuff. Rose and the cop are like, okay, this is weird. Okay.
So I have a question about these church people. So Anna was out trying to like scavenge for food for her mom, right? Like, yeah. What are the rest of these people eating?
I don't know.
Birds.
I don't.
The bugs Pyramid Head leaves around?
Like, pretty much. Because also, they've been there we find out, for 30 years. Like, what could there be?
It's gotta be like the bugs. That's the only thing I could assume.
Yum. Or maybe like some of the people that get attacked by the beasties, they just eat them.
The skin. When Pyramid Head skins someone, they just eat their skin.
Whenever they catch a witch to burn, they have a barbecue, Wasters shall come to want, as they say. Okay, so here's some dumb shit about Christopher going to the orphanage and hassling the sister about Alessa and Sharon. And then the detective shows up and is like, hey, stop. And the sister is like, this can't go on any further. And he's like, it won't. And Christopher is asking about the photo. And the detective is like, 30 years ago, fanatics killed her. And you need to go home now. And Christopher is just like, is this your idea of justice? And the detective is like, they're all different types of justice, and you can't control which one you get, and shows him that his palms have burns on them. And so it's like so stupid. And then he's just like, let me take care of this town, and is going to make him go home. Christabella asks how Rose and the cop like made it there, and they're just kind of like making small talk and shit. And then Christabella is essentially just like, oh, if you want to find your daughter, the only person that knows where she is the demon. And then she talks about Faith a bunch. Then a bunch of the dudes suit up because they're going to take Rose and the cop to like to the building where the demon is, like down in the basement or whatever. And when they got attacked earlier, somebody like took Rose's locket that has Sharon's picture in it, and then Christabella is just like, oh, sorry, I like to steal stuff, this is yours, and like tries to give the locket back.
My bad, I just love stealing stuff.
Oh, who's here? Hi, Hobby. I haven't seen you. So side note, we found out that our neighbors actually own Hobby, and his name is actually Henry.
Yeah, you were close.
So that's pretty close.
We were really close. We were really close. And then also they own Polly.
Oh, hell yeah.
Whose actual name is Gidget.
Well, you were way off on that
That's
one.
a worse name. That is a worse name.
But we, still feed and take care of them. So
somebody else is gonna do it. Why wouldn't you let it keep happening?
I mean,
cat food is expensive.
So. Listen, don't I know it? We're getting eaten out of house and home from all these fucking cats.
I think eaten out of hat and home. That's a good saying. Eating me right out of my hat.
I mean,
these cats.
I'd be real bummed if that happened, because then people would know I was bald.
All because of these damned cats.
Yeah, I guess only having 2. You can't get any more, because then they'll eat your house.
I don't think we could. The 2 we have are enough, or more than a handful.
I hear you there, because I'm currently living with 4, and 2 of them are only my responsibility some of the time. And Polly's here too. Hey, Polly.
Yeah, they're here to talk about food.
And it is a fucking lot, let me tell you. Okay. Yeah, Christabella's like, sorry, I stole this. She goes to hand the locket back, but then she sees the picture of Sharon inside and like starts freaking out and is like, huh, you're a fucking witch. Oh wait, that didn't happen yet. Oh yeah, never mind. It did. Because she said, she's like, oh, you must be a fucking witch, and then she's just like, well, here you go. I'm gonna go down to like find where the demon is anyway. Oh, she didn't see the picture yet. That's why. So she shows them where the demon is, and basically it's just like, bye. I won't be surprised if I don't see you again, but I'll pray for you. Rose memorizes the map, and this is when Christabel is like, sorry, I took this, gives it back, sees it, and is just like, oh no, she's a witch. The cop sacrifices herself to push Rose into an elevator, and then the church people beat the cop up really bad while Rose is free falling in a fucking elevator. I'm not really sure what's worse here. Hi, Hobby.
I feel like getting beat up with pipes.
Hi, cutie.
Seems pretty terrible.
Oh, he's so cute. Yeah. Rose makes it. She's fine, so she doesn't get squashed. Runs around a lot. This is more of a crusty hospital than it is like a basement sewer as previous. And this is actually probably my favorite scene. She turns a corner and is immediately just like facing like a huge group of the nurses, and they're just standing there, minding their own business in their little outfits. And when she shines the light on them, they start like twitching and clickety clacking and shit. They're like stomping their heels around, and they're like, I don't know. They're really creepy.
Yeah, I don't like the sound they use, at least in the movie. I don't know if that's what they sounded like in the game, but like their movements are extremely unsettling.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Uh-oh. Hobby and Mo are squaring up. I don't want more cat fights here. Yeah, so they're like, they're just doing their thing. And when she moves the flashlight off, they like stop moving. And so she's like, okay, I can do this. So she has to like really like tiptoe through them and try not to touch them. But she gets a little too close to one of them, and she lashes out with like a scalpel, and Rose dodges her, but she like cuts open the neck of another nurse. And so they all start just like fucking slashing at each other, and it's pretty cool. Not unless you're a nurse though, because a lot of them get their necks cut open. This is the part. No, I think they were kind of into it. This is the part that's very stupid. Rose like gets through the nurses essentially and puts the flashlight down. She runs through a door and then there's just white light. And there is a voiceover where she's like, "Yay, you made it. Your reward is the truth." And I'm like, Rose
so bad.
Rose wants her daughter back. She doesn't fucking care what happened to Alessa. You know what I mean? Anyways, basically what happened, this is what happened. Everybody in the town thought that Alessa was a witch because she didn't have a dad. What?
It's real Republican
The janitor
shit.
Yeah, there's a scene of the janitor looking at her really gross. It did something to her. We see his patch that says Colin, so we know that this is the guy that was like tied up with the barbed wire earlier. So fuck you, guy. And basically, her mom Dahlia is like trying to console her after what happened, but she can't really like do anything about it, I guess. Christabella is asking Dahlia to name the father because I guess they're mad that she was born out of wedlock. Is my feeling here, and she's basically just like we have to cleanse her because she's like unholy or something. And so they bring Alessa to the hotel, and Christabella says, "We fight the sin, not the sinner." Okay, calm down here. And essentially they tie, I guess I should have said trigger warning because there's like a lot of bad things that happen to children in this movie, but they essentially like put her over on this like grate that's over this huge grill, and they like burn her alive. But there's all this like over this like so a voice that sounds like Alessa and Sharon's is like voice overing all of this, and is like, "But the people were bad, and it made her sad,
so
and then
terrible.
her sadness turned into anger," and it's like not great, not a great choice of like whatever. But essentially, she's just like, she was sad and she was lonely, and they didn't know how to get rid of evil correctly, because if you don't do it correctly, then it can backfire on you. So basically, the grate that Alessa is tied to, the chains break, and so it moves and she hits the grill and knocks the coals over, and that's actually what started the fire that killed most of the people that lived in Silent Hill. And then they're just basically like, Alessa lived through it, but her entire body is charred so bad that she has to be like they also show the fucking detective that's with Christopher like burning his hand because he's trying to free Alessa from the grate, and I'm like, why is he a part of this? I don't understand. She's really crispy. And then basically she's like in a hospital room, but she's like, "Hello." Oh, he's rolling around. He's so cute. Oh, he's so cute. She's like, what's it called? Like in a quarantine type thing, you know, because like people can't like touch her skin or whatever. And this is when the demon comes, and the demon is essentially just like, "Hey, these people suck. Let me help you fuck some shit up." And Alessa's like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." So they join forces. Now Rose is in the room that like Alessa was put in, and there's like a nurse in there who won't show her face, and this nurse is actually like a not an Easter egg, but like a throwback to a character that was actually in the first Silent Hill game. So she seems kind of like out of place because like, why is she there? But like, it's like a throwback to that. So I appreciated it. But if you don't know that, I feel like she's just like, why is she there? Because she's like clicking around and she's not like showing her face or whatever. And Rose is just kind of like, okay. And we can also hear, you know, like wheezing. And then this little like girl who looks like Alessa and Sharon pops up, and it's just like, "Hey." And Rose is like, who are you? And she's like, "I have a lot of names." And she's like, "I thought you were Alessa." And then she's like, "No, that's Alessa," you know, like in the hospital bed. And Rose is like, "Then who are you?" Yeah, she said, "I have many names." And then she's basically says that Alessa is still alive. She's laying there, right? Sharon is what's left of the goodness in Alessa. And they show a scene of the little demon child taking Sharon as a baby to the orphanage, which made me laugh really hard because she's like an 8-year-old kid. And so like this little demon guy is just like, I don't know, taking the shape of the girls to like lure Rose there. It's not actually one of the girls, so it's kind of confusing. Anyways, the demon is basically just like, well, everything's all over now because like everything is ending. We just want revenge and stuff. Also, Christabella knows where your daughter is, and you need to stop her because she's going to purify her. And then Rose is like, oh my God, that's like, what do I have to do to save my daughter? And the demon is like, oh, well, I can't go into the church, but you can, so you have to go in and stop her. So the little demon hugs Rose and then like absorbs into her.
Yeah, it doesn't look great.
And then, no, also can't imagine that would be comfortable. I don't like it. This is when we see the nurse's face and she's crying and there's just like blood everywhere, which is, like I said, a scene that happens in the game.
Yeah, it just makes... I understand it's like an Easter egg for the game, but it makes no sense. Like, they don't explain it in the movie at all.
It also, like, she literally looks exactly the same, and it's like the same thing that happened, but the actual plot of the game has nothing to do with what's happening, so there's like no reason for her to be there, but whatever. Meanwhile, the church Judes have found Sharon hiding at the hotel. Dahlia shows up and tries to like save her. She's the one that had been like hiding her the whole time. And they're going to, here we go. All right, we're doing it. They're going to burn Sharon. And the cop is like tied up on a ladder essentially. And she's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, this is a child. Like, don't listen to Christabella. She's crazy. Like, what you're doing is wrong. And they don't care. Because Christabella is like, she's a witch. Burn her. She's helping the demon. We have to get rid of her. And the townspeople are like, yay! I love it. So they lower the cop down over the fire, and her face just like peels off until she catches fire and dies.
Sick.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that in the theater and it being very uncomfortable. It's like,
yeah.
It's one of those scenes that, like, I don't know, like, it doesn't necessarily happen for a long time, but just long enough that you're like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. That sounds like absolutely terrible.
It's also like, it's not even like she's not put in the fire, she's just over it, so it's like the heat doing it, so it just seems so terrible.
So she also doesn't, I feel like she stays alive longer than you would, like, or whatever, so it's not great. So that happens. Then they tie Sharon up to one of the ladders too, and they're like, we're gonna burn you. And then Rose appears and she's like, you will not
pass.
And, what?
You will not pass.
Oh.
Oh, I guess it's you shall not pass in the movie. Never mind.
You shall not pass, yeah.
I fucked it up.
She is like, you people are dumb. There was no apocalypse. You were the ones that caused the fire that like killed everybody in the town, and nothing you do, nothing can save you because you're already damned. And she's like screaming at everybody, and nobody
and also
is giving her the time of day.
It's just like walking through the crowd.
They are like punching and slapping her, and she's just like, you guys are fucking stupid. Then she starts talking some shit about Christabella. Okay. And then Christabella just takes out a dagger and stabs Rose in the heart really abruptly. The blood on the dagger drops onto the floor, and like the dark starts coming, and they're like, oh my God, that's not great. Rose is just like splurting blood all over the place, and it starts to disintegrate like the area where the fire pit is, and then her wound heals. And this is when, so now there's a huge pit in the middle of the floor, and this is when the hospital bed rises up out of the depths.
It looks so bad.
With barbed wire. I remember when I saw this in the theater, I think that this part didn't look super like as good as like some of the other parts did, but I was still like, what the fuck is happening?
No, like I like this scene a lot, but like it like especially now it looks so bad.
Yeah. It's like it's even worse looking. But basically, yeah, so the barbed wire just like raises the bed up and it's just like in the air. There's like barbed wire flying all over and grabbing people, stabbing them and shit. And everyone is like, freaking out. Christabella is hoisted into the air with the barbed wire. And essentially what happens is that she's like saying like, I am pure, I love you, and stuff like that. And she gets stabbed up her woo-ha with some barbed wire, which
she gets ripped in half.
Really gross. Seems like very like it would be terrible to experience, but she deserved it. And then she gets ripped in half as the little demon girl dances around beneath her in her blood, which like amazing. Dahlia tries to talk to Alessa, who is like basically just like a scarred, wrapped up woman. Like she is full grown at this point, but she's just been like bedridden for the last 30 years. Rose fights her way up to where Sharon is like tied up, and she grabs her. Also, Sharon's like seeing all of this happening. Like she saw the bed rise up from the ground. She's seeing the barbed wire rip people apart and shit. And she's just like, I'm like, there's no way she's gonna get over this.
Well, but joke's on her, because she's stuck in Silent Hill forever. So because Rose like grabs her and it's just like, close your eyes, close your eyes. Meanwhile, people are like screaming and there's like blood splattering everywhere. I'm like, wow, this is. Anyways, Sharon, the little demon girl, like climbs up the ladder, and Sharon sees her and then faints. The next morning, they wake up and they walk out of the church. Everything is gone. Like there's no bodies, there's no blood. It's just like normal looking church, except Dahlia is there, and she's just like, why did she leave me? Why didn't she take me with everyone else? And then Rose is just like, because you're her mother. Oh my god, the fucking delivery of their mom is God in the eyes of a child or whatever is fucking terrible.
Very, very bad. Rose and Sharon get to the car, and as they drive over the part where the cliff was like broken, the road just appears. Rose calls and leaves a message for Christopher on the answering machine, but all he can hear is static. And again, it's like cutting between like Rose is in a world that's like white and foggy, and when they cut to Christopher, it's like normal. So it's like, duh. Anyways, Rose and Sharon arrive home, and it's nighttime and it's like foggy and shit. And they walk in the house and it like cuts to Christopher. And in Christopher's reality, it's daytime and it's raining. And he gets off the couch and like the door to the front of the house is open. But when he looks outside, there's like nothing there. The car's not there. It's, the end. So
I know that like Rose and like Sean Bean are in the sequel, and like I was gonna say I didn't know if you'd seen it or not.
Yeah, it's weird because essentially what happens in the second movie is that it's Sean Bean plays like the same character, and the blonde girl is Sharon, but they rename them Harry and Heather. And so Harry is the name of the protagonist in the actual Silent Hill game, and Heather is the name of the protagonist in the third Silent Hill game, and they just kind of like gave them those names as like aliases. And so they kind of like rewrite the story to be that Rose found a way to get Sharon out of the Silent Hill dimension or whatever, but she's still stuck there, and Sean Bean's character and Sharon are like on the run from the cult or whatever. So like,
that sounds bad.
I don't know. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. So like, while I wasn't like, like you were saying, it's like they made it pretty obvious that like they're stuck in limbo, or they're stuck in like Silent Hill portal or whatever, because of the way they like contrasted it. But then the thing that got me about it was that like, because it's like they like died essentially at the very beginning of the movie, and until you get to like the end point, you kind of like don't even think about it. And so when I saw it in the theater, I was like, oh my god, they've been dead the whole time. But yeah, literally, like, fucking Christopher, when the detective is just like, this is what happened, like, go home and let me take care of this town, he literally said, okay, and then he just went home and was, like, sleeping on the couch. Sir!
Yeah, and this is like, she could stay in Silent Hill, fuck Pyramid Head, or she could give back to fucking Sean Bean just napping on the couch. Made the wrong choice.
I think I would pick Pyramid Head and the nurses, honestly. Like,
the nurses seem pretty fun. They seem like they party.
They definitely party. They're the ones playing the Sandstorm song.
Sandstorm.
Yeah, just give them some glow sticks instead of scalpels, so they're not just like slicing each other up, and then it's a party. That would be cool. Do that instead.
All right, news.
A lot of dumb shit. The only things that I saw that were like of any note to me at all was that Shudder is releasing a documentary called The Found Footage Phenomena, obviously about found footage. That's going to be out May 19th. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I also saw that HBO Max is adapting it's from DC Comics. It's called Dead Boy Detectives. That was created by Neil Gaiman, and they've slated that for 8 episodes. So I don't really know how long the episodes are going to be or like anything else about that, but I don't know. I'll probably watch that.
What about Zach Baggins signing?
Oh, thank God. Zach Baggins has signed on for more seasons of Ghost Adventures, so we'll have Ghost Adventures at least through 2025. So never you fear.
Just in time for the Earth to become uninhabitable.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't see any TVs in Silent Hill, but I'd be watching it.
Yeah, there's. I'm sure they got some kind of cable package. All right, Kit, what'd you watch this week?
What did I watch this week? Great question, as always, Nathan.
Coming with the hard-hitting questions every week.
I watched Ran by Akira Kurosawa. Amazing. Absolutely insane that is a film that ever got made.
What was it?
Ran. R-A-N.
It's like it's his version of King Lear, the Shakespeare play. It is ridiculous.
Okay.
It's really good. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
The scene where they're invading the castle or whatever, just like silently.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. It's so good. I watched Police Story for the first time.
Oh, it's so good.
Fucking whips so much ass.
Jackie Chan.
Oh my god.
Like was it 80s, I guess, probably, maybe late 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
Just
I think 80s,
unbeatable.
early 80s. Man, the whole everything in the mall was the best shit I've ever seen in my life. And then I watched The Killer by John Woo. Also really good.
Yeah.
And then I watched Batman, the Patman.
Oh yeah, I still need.
Also pretty good.
I don't know. I gotta watch the fucking bonus episodes tonight. I'm gonna try to watch that this week.
Oh yeah, I gotta watch the bonus episode stuff. Thank you for reminding me.
I totally forgot that it came out, so we're probably gonna watch it like today maybe.
I'm gonna try and get to it sometime this week, or at least by like the next episode we record. But I don't know. It's like, for whatever reason, like before the pandemic, that would have been some shit I went and saw like day one. But it's just, for whatever reason, just not high on my priority list at the moment. But I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. But I don't know. No, I got a bunch of dumb bullshit physical media I need to watch when I'm at home, that I'm just putting off all that fucking streaming stuff. Katie, what'd you watch?
I watched I didn't watch a lot, honestly. We watched Premium Rush, which was
the Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie.
Yeah, it was so bad. It was so bad. We were like watching it and we were like, who is this movie for? I rewatched Luca. We watched Bubba Hotep for the first time.
Amazing.
That's so good.
It was all right.
Ozzie
I really
Smith? Was it Ozzie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always get him and Ozzie Davis, the fucking baseball player's last names, confused. He's so good
at
that
Ozzie
movie.
Davis.
It's Ozzie Davis. Ozzie Smith is the baseball player. Yeah.
He's great in that movie.
Like, I liked it. I liked
JFK.
how weird the plot was. Like, I honestly, like, I know that you really like the movie, but I didn't know what it was about at all. And we just, like, put it on. And so it's, like, really intriguing because it obviously just kind of starts out in, like, a nursing home, and then there's, like, a creature. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And so, like, I appreciated how weird it was, but I felt like the ending was kind of, like...
the best?
It was just kind of, like... No, it was kind of just, like, I didn't really understand... I don't know. I don't know. And then, there's a lot of, like, penis stuff going on, which I'm just not... It's not my humor. So, like, overall, it was fine, but, like, I don't know. And then... Shit. We started trying to watch Magnum PI, and it's so far not my favorite. But we'll give it some time. We'll see. I think that's it.
Let's see. I started to dive into Severin's Nasty Habits box set, which is 4 nunsploitation movies. I still have one more to watch. I forget what the 4th one's called, but I watched Christiana Devil Nun, which is really good. And there's 2 versions in the box set of it, where there's one where, like, the director just added, like, hardcore shots to it. So there's just, like, real sex happening in the sex scenes that aren't from the actual movie, and it's very strange. The second one is Story of a Cloistered Nun, which was pretty good. Like, all 3 of the ones I watched were pretty good. And then the 3rd one is Images in a Convent, which is a Joe D'Amato movie that is extremely sleazy, is I think the best term for it. But I'd recommend it. I rewatched Deep Blood, which I feel like I'm going to force myself to like.
It's not worth it.
It's not great, but I'm like, I'm just going to rewatch it until I'm like, this is good. I rewatched Inferno, Dawn of the Dead, Drag Me to Hell, and Tusk. And then I watched a bunch of fucking really bad 70s porn movies that Vinegar Syndrome put out in this box set that I can't recommend any of. I watched Action Point, which is, like, fine. It's not great, but Chris Pontius is very good in it. It's like the saving grace of the whole movie.
The king.
Yeah, he's like the only funny part in it. Like, the whole shit with Knoxville and the kid is too like sugary sweet for me. I rewatched the 3 Jurassic Park movies that I acknowledge existing.
Yay!
First one, obviously a masterpiece. Second one's fine. Third one's trash.
Well,
I
stand by the first 3.
Hate Tia Leone and
yeah.
What's his name's character so much. They just ruined that movie.
Yeah, I could see that.
Caitlin and I hit Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel in the Marvel movie, so we're about to get to Endgame and I can't wait. And then I watched Batman, The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2, and Justice League, The Flashpoint Paradox. All 3 are masterpieces.
I think it's been long enough at this point since I've watched Flashpoint that I can watch it again, and I'm so excited.
It's great. All right, shout outs. Katie.
I have 2 actually, because I meant to do this one last time and I forgot. I want to shout out one of our listeners, friends of the podcast, Sally, who is an amazing artist, first of all, but also reached out to me. I had posted about this candy bar that I found at the grocery store by here that was from Australia. And I was like, I love this. This is so great. And she was like, well, if you like this, we have all this other candy, can I send you some? And she sent me this whole box of candy that I did an unboxing video for that I'm going to put up on our Patreon. And then eventually I'm going to do a tasting video. And it just was incredibly sweet and thoughtful. And so I just wanted to shout her out and her art. You can follow on Instagram. It's Sally_Anne, ANNE_Townsend. And she does really nice portraits. So that's the first one.
Yeah,
and,
Sally rules.
I
met her at Migration Fest. Gave her a bunch of 80s hard rock metal cards.
I love it. And the second shout out is me, because so this episode comes out on Monday, and this is my birthday episode.
Ooh.
I know my birthday is on Wednesday, which is the 27th of April, if you're not listening to this when it comes out or whatever. And on my birthday, I'm finally going to open up my own Patreon. So if you care to support me and my art, my Patreon will be open on Wednesday, April 27th. I'm going to have 3 tiers per normal people, which is $2, which is just general support, $5 and $10. You get free stuff, you get free art. So yeah, I'll obviously post links on my social to that, but I don't know.
Hell yeah.
Give me money if you want to.
So many Pyramid Balls artwork going on.
Listen, there will be some things on there that probably I would not post on my actual socials, because there's certain guidelines you have to follow for TikTok and for Instagram. So there's a lot of things that I just if I'm sketching or whatever, I do not post. Because I feel like Instagram, and when I post on Twitter, I pretty much only post on Twitter if it's August or something like that. But Instagram is kind of more of this is a totally finished piece that I'm done with, and I don't really feel comfortable posting things that are maybe work in progress or just sketches or things like that. And if you've seen any of the art that I've done for the podcast, I don't only just draw weird, stupid shit for the podcast. I just do that in my free time too, but I don't post any of it because I don't feel not that it's not appropriate, but I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. So there'll be a lot more probably of that kind of stuff on my Patreon. So I don't know.
You should post that quick sketch you did, I think, when we were recording maybe one of the Gnome movies, or maybe a Leprechaun, of the Gnome or Leprechaun skateboarding. Do you remember that?
I do. So I don't know. I'll have like all those links posted and stuff. If you're listening to this episode when it comes out on Monday, it's not open yet, obviously, because I'm doing it on my birthday. But it's kind of, I guess, a sneak peek. I don't know.
Yeah. Give Katie money for her birthday.
Please do give me money for my birthday. But also, if you do $5 or $10, you will get free stuff like in the mail in return. So it's not just digital. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
That's my pitch.
What about you, Kit?
The dude who directed Silent Hill has another movie that kicks insane amounts of ass called Brotherhood of the Wolf, which I've probably shouted out on here before when it hit Shudder. It fucking rules. It's like a period piece with a crazy like wolf monster, and everyone's doing kung fu, and there's a bone sword. Like, okay. I cannot recommend it enough. It's awesome.
It's still on Shudder?
I think so.
I saw like a bunch of stuff about, like, I was reading about Silent Hill getting made or whatever, and I kept seeing that, like, them reference that movie, and I was like, I've never heard of this. But I also, like, the name of it, like, it could be literally anything. And I was just like, I don't know what this is about. And I just never looked into it.
When it came out, I remember in high school, I wanted to see it because it looked cool. And I couldn't because it was rated R, and I was like, 15 or whatever at the time. I was like, oh, fuck. And then it just kind of, like, disappeared from the public consciousness forever. And then Scream Factory did a really nice Blu-ray for it last year, I think it was. Maybe it was the year before. I was like, oh, fuck, finally. This movie that I wanted to see. So I just went ahead and bought it. And it turns out that it kicks ass.
Hell yeah. I'm going to shout out Twitch of the Death Nerve podcast. They cover all the extremely cool, weird shit that I like. Like they've done
Dinosaurus Rex?
No, like they do like a lot of like cover everything from like, I don't know, like category 3 like Ebola syndrome type movies to just like weird shit. Like they did an episode on Assault on Precinct 13, and then like stuff like everything from like that to like A Woman's Torment, which is like this pretty great Roberta Findlay like hardcore movie. And I don't know, it's really good. All three of the hosts are great and like super knowledgeable and funny, and it's real good. Everybody should go listen to it if you like cool, lesser known movies instead of Silent Hill.
Keyword cool.
Yeah. Alright. Next week will be the episode I recorded with Lori from Queer Horror Cult on Erotic Nights of the Living Dead and Porno Holocaust. And then I think following that in May we're gonna do maybe animal attack movies of some kind.
Yeah, squids.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna pick Willard with Crispin Glover.
Ooh, hell
Those
yeah.
aren't squids.
They could be.
They're animals.
Just pretend they're all squids.
I will.
What is the rat but the squid of the land?
I just really
It's
I
true.
just want to put Crispin Glover singing Ben the fucking episode. Alright, if you want to support us, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/IFUSufferPodcast.
.com. It's our new internet.
When this episode's out, I made a 3-hour mix of songs and shit from and inspired by horror movies that you can listen to. It's very absurd. You can also, I think like a couple days after this episode comes out, we'll have a bonus episode of 3 movies picked by Dylan from Diary of Doom. All some sort of lizard kaiju-y movies. I think it was Planet of the Dinosaurs. Let's see. Planet of the Dinosaurs, Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, and Reptilian. I assume Reptilian is incredible based on the poster art I saw for it. You can buy merch at our store Frontier shop, including our new Void shirt, which I got in the mail, and it rules.
Yeah, they look super. The tie-dye is so cool.
Yeah. Leave us a rating on Spotify and a rating and review on iTunes. Tell us in the review if you think you could survive in Silent Hill. I think I could. Because I'd probably just kill myself and have to live there and become a monster.
Either way, like, if you survive, fine. If not, and you get to be a cool monster, like, seems fine. Seems fine either way.
But just have a big sword, bugs crawling all around me.
Yeah.
Sounds
get to hear sirens all the time. Seems pretty sweet. Pretty good deal.
I want them to do, like, Survivor, but it's like Silent Hill, not just, like, an island.
They should do it, but it has to be real, where they create a real Silent Hill. So there's just, like, actual people getting stabbed, I guess.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it.
and getting eaten by bugs.
Yeah, I'm in. Just Survivor Silent Hill season 52 or whatever they're on now. Follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery. Follow Katie at Werewolf Face and go sign up for her Patreon Wednesday.
Yeah, you know it'll be literally under Werewolf
after
Face.
This falls out. Only on Wednesdays though.
That's fine.
You listen to other podcasts, 8K Movie Club. I hope you Sharon but Alyssa. I got nothing. I don't remember anything in this movie now.
I hope you
re-edit this movie without Sean Bean.
That would be a solid. If somebody could do that, that would be a solid.
Yeah, put that shit on YouTube so I don't have to pay to rewatch this movie.
Yeah, I was really bummed because like I said, I saw this in the theater. I liked this movie enough to buy the DVD, and I could not find it. So I had to pay to rent it, and I was like, God damn it.
I contemplated like if somebody had released like a Blu-ray of both movies of just buying it, because like I would rewatch the first one. I've never seen the second one, and I was like, I don't really want to pay $5 to fucking rent it. And I was just like, I'm not doing that. What am I doing?
Yeah,
just quit buying fucking bullshit. I'm gonna watch once and never again.
That's your thing.
Nah. Vinegar Syndrome shit, even the stuff that I'm like, or like Severed or whatever, the stuff that I'm like not super into, I'm like, at least I'll know I'll probably rewatch again. Something like this, I'm like, I know I would buy it and it would just fucking disintegrate on my fucking shelf because I'd never watch it. Unless I found it at like the dollar store.
The
dollar store DVD find, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I've got a few things at the dollar store that I haven't watched yet, but they're kind of up on their game sometimes, except for the crocodile movie that I gave you. But you know,
I literally I had that on like the other movies in the background. We were watching this, so I watched The Killer Shrew and Attack of the Giant Leeches, and it's very funny that Croczilla's like a 2000 teens movie, and then it's just 4 movies from the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, that's so weird.
And they're all pretty fucking bad. It's like it's got a movie like got Piranha on here, but it's not like the Roger Corman Piranha. It's some movie called Piranha that was fucking really bad. I still gotta watch Voyage to the Prehistoric Planet, which I can only assume slaps with that title.
Well, I have a spoiler for you, is that I got something else to send you for your birthday from the dollar store, so we'll see.
I still never watched Avalanche Sharks. I forgot about that. I need to get on that.
Oh shit, you have to.
Alright, I hope you suffer, but why?
Why?